Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Well, a very good evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are around the world. And welcome to the USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Ambassador Dr. Jamie Long, and our show is Spread Your Wings. And today we're talking about Break the Stigma. But you can watch us all over the social media platforms, in YouTube, Roku, Amazon, and as I said, all over social media platforms. I was going to have a guest today, but unfortunately my guest couldn't be here due to unforeseen circumstances, but we will continue the show as if she was here, and I will be discussing all things about breaking the stigma around mental health from a men's perspective and what we're seeing more frequent: young people, so children. You know, people think mental health just stems from bad behavior, kids or adults, which really isn't. And we're going to talk about that today with some other facts and figures. And I just wanted to start by saying, first of all, I think every single one of you who's watching is important. You've all got a voice and you all should be heard. No one should ever suffer in silence, regardless of stigma, regardless of your race, your religion, your sexuality, your ethnicity, your background. Everybody should be able to speak up to make this a much more loving, caring world, I guess. And that's what I plan with this amazing TV show. We've got some amazing supporters with us. So, mental health, then, as you see, the last few shows, I've been covering multiple different things with it. I've discussed about my background, what I've gone through with mental health. So, let's just start with young people first, because I think it's best that we get this out there, really. Is young people currently do not think politicians do enough to support them. Young people find it a concern that the government are pulling all these mental health support charities from the young people, which means they're not getting the help they need, which is why you're seeing a massive increase in child self-harm. There is trigger warnings, just to let you know. I should have said that in the beginning, so I do apologize. But a lot more needs to be done for children with mental health. When I worked for the ambulance service, the youngest person I went to who suffered a mental health episode, as I said, was 6 years old. 6 years old, because they were being bullied. They didn't like the way they looked. They didn't like they couldn't fit in, and didn't like they had friends. But 6 years old. And where's the support for them? You've got some of these voluntary charities like Mind and Children's Mind, Bernardo's, NSPCC, and stuff, but who actually helps these young people? Are they getting help in school? Are they getting help at home? Is it a problem at home? Is it a problem at school? So you can see why these young people are so confused all the time about what's going on around mental health. And it's three main charities that carried out this research to do with the mental health for these young people. And it's quite shocking, really, you know. So you've got things like the Children and Young People's Mental Health Coalition, Mind and Young People's Minds, which released a few days ago, that young people don't feel like they're being heard, or they've got concern because there is not enough support, because they see adults not getting the support and they think, what's the point as well? And one of them actually said that politicians don't care about us. Politicians don't care about how we are as young people, but yet we are the future of the country, future of the world, future leaders potentially. But where's our support now to help us? And a lot of these hospitals now are seeing a massive increase of self-harm. And I just think it's really, really wrong. 52% of people so far said they don't feel like they've got anyone to turn to. And we need to kind of break that. We need to break that. I know I talk on about men's mental health, but we need to tackle the youth as well, because the youth, as I said, is our future, is our generations to come. That is going to build this country. That's going to develop this country. That will take over our legacies of what we leave behind. And there's only so much I can do as one person, but if I help one person, I'm happy, very happy with it. And I won't go too much into detail, but I promise you, a 12-year-old girl um, is being bullied at school because of her sexuality. She's being bullied at school because she's come from a separated family. This 12-year-old has got multiple scars from self-harming. The mother went to the school, and the school ain't that interested. The school were like, what do you want us to do about it? We'll speak to the individuals that are picking on her. And you're thinking, you're not doing anything about it. But this child is a straight A student that is now not wanting to leave the house, not wanting to go to school, doesn't care about anything, thinks they don't belong here. That's 12 years old. Whose fault is that? Whose job is it to protect them? We put our children into school and we expect there to be safeguarding for them, somewhere for them to talk to. But there's not. Once again, our young people are being fouled by the system because of budget cuts. And it's so wrong. It really is wrong. And if it's upsetting of you, I apologize. But if any of you have your own stories you would like to tell about someone, a young person that's suffering mental health, then please, my email is on the chat. You can contact us via USA Global TV and Radio or all on my social media platforms. It'll be amazing for you to reach out, and then you can stay anonymous, and then we can mention some of these on the next episode in 2 weeks' time that we go through. But I just wanted to start off today touching around young people's mental health. People think young people shouldn't have it. Okay. I know that everybody suffers mental health. As I said, at 15, I was living on the streets. So I was still young, young then. But back then, mental health wasn't really spoken about. But what can we do as a society, as a world, to encourage and help these young people more? Do we give them free courses? Do we try and set up workshops? What can we do without any funding? The charities are literally at the end of their thumbnails because they're not getting any more funding for it. And they have the same beliefs as I do of every young person needs an opportunity and they need help to break that stigma, and I think if we can all work together, because I'm currently trying to work on a project, which I can't reveal too much at the moment, but I'm hoping it will work. The same platform that I use for men's mental health and speaking up, I'm currently creating one for young people. But I need as many people to follow my social media platforms, share your stories, come on board, tell me what you think, give me some ideas, because there's only so much I can do as one person. But if we do it as a team around the world, we can conquer everything. We can make the impossible possible. And there is no such thing as impossible, because if you want it that much, you can achieve it. Dream it, believe it, achieve it, which is another one of my mnemonics I like using, DBA. So that's enough really on the children's mental health side of things, because it is quite upsetting for people. But I just wanted to get it out there. Um, if you do have any questions, please just write in the comment boxes, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Or if you've got any advice or tips or whatever, then please do. So we are going to move on now to men's mental health still, which is what Spread Your Wings is mainly about, um, and the stigma around it. I've been following a couple of projects and sites at the moment, and things on TikTok where people have set podcasts up or live casts to speak about men's mental health to break the stigma. I've got a question, which you can put your answers on the comments. Do you think men's mental health is more or less important than female mental health? So I'll look forward to seeing your comments on that one. So, why do you think men don't talk about mental health? What do you think the stigma is around it? Do you think it's because it's not macho to talk about how you're feeling or what you've gone through? Like, as you remember a couple of weeks ago, when I said, I'm a survivor of rape, I'm a survivor of domestic abuse, domestic violence, all whilst I was in the army as well, and bullying, but I never spoke about it because it wasn't macho. But by bottling everything up for as long as I have, right up until last year, it you need to talk because it'll just explode. That's the bottom line. It'll explode. And we need to stop being rude as a society. We need to stop the stigma around it, saying you're a man. You shouldn't be talking like that. Man up. Get a grip. All those words are really hurtful. But where? Where's the support for men with that? You know, the police officers, they don't get much support training how to deal with mental health. And a lot of police forces now have stopped responding to mental health jobs and left it to the ambulance service, which is already on their knees overstretched because they say the police can be used for other resources. So, are you saying that mental health is not important as to a robbery or um, anything where a crime's been committed? Is mental health not important if someone's having an episode? It is important. Mental health is a serious, serious matter. And the stigma, I'm doing everything I can to stop the stigma, doing talks all around the world, encouraging other men to speak out about all different stuff, as I mentioned a few weeks back as well. But why is there a stigma? Why is there a stigma around men discussing their mental health? Because men suffer just as much. You know, veterans, military veterans. I'm a veteran. There is no support when you leave the military. You have a few of these charity organizations that help, but even then they are stretched. You know, 2017, was it? No, sorry, 2019. I had an episode, a mental health episode, and I was blaming myself for a lot of things that happened, like all my trauma with being raped and that set. It just all drummed into me because I was told it was my fault. I got drunk and I went into the sea trying to commit suicide. And that night, I just wanted it all to be over with. But I remember being out at sea, just walked into the sea. A lifeboat was quite the way out. And then there was police. I saw flashing lights everywhere. Then out of nowhere, I got punched in the face and pepper sprayed by police officers. They dragged me to the shoreline and threw me face down onto the stones, bruising my face, and said to me, "You deserve that for making my officers get into that water." And then they dragged me to the ambulance and threw me into the ambulance. And the sergeant said, you deserve that for making my officers get wet when they're meant to be working. Do you think that was fair? Do you think I intentionally wanted to be punched in the face or pepper sprayed? Did I intentionally want to go and commit suicide? I didn't intentionally. There was no help. It was a cry for help, and it all gets up to you. And then to make things worse, I was under the mental health team recently, and a few months ago, they turned around and said, right, because you've got a lot of personal health issues, you need to focus on them before we can continue your therapy. I was like, right, where are we going with this? And they turned around, and do you know what they said? We can't no longer help you. We're discharging you from the mental health team until you get on top of your personal health conditions, like your medical health conditions, and then you can get referred and come back to us. And I thought to myself, well, a lot of my mental health conditions affect my mental health. So my health conditions, I've got to focus on them before getting help for my mental health. But yet they trigger my mental health. So where am I? I'm back in the limbo, you know, and it is a daily battle, daily battle. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I wish I had the confidence to speak up years ago. Not worry about this stigma, not worry about Joe Blogs, the bully, saying, oh, yeah, just man up, you're pathetic, mental health, oh, really? All that sort of wording. You don't need you don't need people like that. But if people want to be like that, then it's them that have the insecurities. It's them that have the problem, not you guys around the world. You're all amazing. And the hardest thing is taking that first step to say, I have mental health. I have an issue, and reaching out to get help for it. I had a young lad who I got chatting to on TikTok, and he was about 24. In his eyes, his whole world came tumbling down. He lost his nan, his girlfriend left him, and he didn't want to get out of the house. He didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to end his life. I spent 4 hours chatting to him from 1 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the morning, just chatting to him, helping him, listening, being a shoulder and guiding. And yesterday, I got a message from him out of the blue, and he said, Jamie, I am so thankful that you gave me that time. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I listened to what you said. I looked in the mirror and I says, I am worth it. I am important and I am someone. And he managed to leave his house and get on and do the stuff he was enjoying to do. And he's keeping doing that. So he's sending me updates. He sent me an update today saying, I feel really good. Thank you for everything you've done to help. So that was me just helping one person. Imagine if we all worked together and helped. You think how many people we can help break that stigma of mental health, the stigma around it, saying it's okay not to be okay. Yeah, you could be 6'1", 256 pounds, whatever. You could be a gladiator, you could be a powerlifter, you could be military, special forces, whatever. We are all human. Underneath all the clothing, underneath the job. When we look in the mirror, we are human. We are not robots. We are not AI. We all have feelings and we all have coping strategies. We all have a sense of, I've got to be better than you, better than this. Women talk about it more. Women are happier to talk about it because they have support. Nobody judges women, but men, they judge. And I'm going to be on a power trip to change that. I'm going to be tackling in the UK Parliament. Now we've got the Labour involved. I'm going to set up project proposals to run schemes around my area as a trial pilot and then push them further afield, push them around the world. I've got 3 countries that I'm going to where I'm promoting men's mental health, where there is nothing for men's mental health in some of these countries. There is no support, and there is a lot of stigma. And I'm on a mission to change that, and I've got some amazing people, dignitaries and all that are welcoming my participation. And one of my challenges that I want to do, and if you, the audience, have any questions or anything you'd like me to say at this new project, then please message us. I'm tackling every single police force, and I'm going to do a live talk, offer to go in and do a talk to all the police officers to tell them or guide them on the signs and symptoms of that someone might be suffering a mental health episode, and what to say, and in capitals, what not to say, because you could say something wrong that would trigger that person even more. And I think if everybody has more training with mental health, which is very common now, I think we will have the support. And with people like me pushing these boundaries, pushing these barriers, fighting, climbing, and doing everything I can for not just me, for every single one of you lovely people watching, and even people ain't watching. Like if you've got a neighbour who's suffering mental health, you can take something away from these shows and encourage these people to join the shows or encourage these people to step afar. But what I need every single one of you to do every morning and every night before you go to bed, look in the mirror and say, I am me, I love me, I am somebody, and I do achieve what I want to achieve, and I am important. And nothing's going to stop me because Ambassador Dr. Jamie Long said, I am important. And you are. And I love every single one of you guys, all around the world. Oh, I have a comment on the screen. Okay. Let's have a look. So, Patricia, thank you for your comment. You're very correct. They need to speak out their experience. Most youths are jobless without skills, no support from people around them, showing them love and care. You are right. Well, Patricia, thank you for that. And you're right. You've hit the nail on the head. It is very, very bizarre when you see the facilities for young people, like youth clubs and everything. And so much pressures on young people. I'm going back to young people now to answer Patricia's question. Is young people aren't always academic. I was never academic. It's only since my adulthood that I've managed to achieve all my qualifications, all my degrees, my honorary doctorate degrees, and my ambassador and stuff. But I guarantee if you had an academic young person, a vocational person, so who was good with hands-on, and I did this at university, and you gave them a task to do, it's the same answer, but they both do it separate ways. One's a hands-on approach, one's an academic thesaurus approach. Okay, so like doing the research and just coming up with equations. But once they've achieved that, if you swap them over, so now the vocational hands-on young person, even with adults, goes and does the academic side of it, put the academic side of it into the practical vocational side of it, and ask them to do that same task, they can't do it. So why are people being bullied for not being educated? Why are people being stigmatized for not being educated? But do you know what? They can actually do the same job in their own way. So you don't need all these qualifications, academics, to achieve a job. If you're good with your hands on, that's still problem solving, but you're doing it manually. Whereas theories like thesaurus and all that, they spend hours. I remember, and I still speak to some of my lecturers, and when I did my social science research project, I found that so difficult because I knew in my head as a practical, boom, 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 this is what's going to happen. But trying to do it as an academic strategy, which is required for university, I found it very hard. But I've managed to do the jobs I've enjoyed doing. And of all the jobs I do, this project of mental health, being a humanitarian with the United Nations, this is the best job. This is the most rewarding job because it's not about the money, because most of everything I do is voluntary. It's knowing that I've helped every single person. So this is why I'm doing these proposals, Patricia, for young people to help them get into jobs, give them qualifications. I'm in talks with some parts of Africa, some parts of Pakistan, and other parts where they haven't got an educational system. They don't have the funding for stuff. And I'm currently designing projects for them as we speak. So I have a brain overload with it. And if you'd like to come on board and have some input, then please message me, Patricia. I'll be more than happy to have you on board. Is there any other questions you amazing people have? If not, then I'll carry on where I was around the stigma. Um, if you have any questions, I'll answer them if they come up. Okay. So going back onto the stigma, there's one, and you see a lot of stigma with, say, emergency services as a prime one. The jobs we go to is some of the worst jobs you could ever imagine. You know, the people that we go to, we we see people's lives change within seconds. We go from seeing happy families, lovely families where they're talking, to grieving families because their loved one has just passed away and we weren't able to save them, or in that split second, something's happened to them. You know, whether it be an RTC, a suicide attempt, an overdose, a stabbing, all that sort of stuff. And we do that job, and then we still got 8 hours left of our shift. So we carry on and do more jobs and more jobs. And yeah, we have a hot debrief where we talk about it, and there is support starting to be put out there now for emergency services. They're starting to realise that emergency services need this help. But we learn to put it on the back burner. You know, the amount of stuff I've seen horrifies no one, no civilian would ever see the sort of stuff we've seen. And I've had to start speaking out about that because that's affected my mental health and had trigger points. So before, people think, oh, firefighters, they're heroes, these big muscly men. Paramedics, oh yeah, they save everybody. Yeah, they just get in, we drive really fast. Um, we save people's lives, we do this, we do that. Police, police, they have a love-hate with people. Oh yeah, they're just bullies, they arrest people for no reason. But actually, before you decide to kick off with an emergency services worker, right, before you start being aggro to them, just think what their last job could have been. You know, I've had it where I've helped deliver a baby, and then an hour later, after that job, I'm going to a nasty RTC where a young person's lost his life, or someone who's been stabbed, or someone who's had a heart attack and died. But yet they were talking to their family 3 hours before. And we work on these people and we can't bring them back. So you can see where it triggers your mind because you have your good times and your bad times, and it can swap in a matter of hours. It can change. But people expect us to be unbreakable. So we go back to this stigma again. Why is there stigma? What is the stigma? And what causes this stigma? I would love for you guys to put your answers, send emails to either myself on my social media platforms, to USA Global TV, or even to Dr. Jacqueline. I would love for you guys, and then we can go through it in 2 weeks' time on the next show, because I would love for your inputs and your stories, you know, and whether they've been positive or negative, because a problem shared is a problem halved. And I think we all working together, we can do this and we can break the stigma. The stigma is not point of authority where you want to be. You don't want a stigma around it. You don't want people bottling up, not talking, because then that will have the knock-on effect to the younger generation. You know, and I'm going to quickly flip back to young people for a minute ago, and because I went through the adults one. So if you see children on the street and they're being naughty, they're being abusive, they're being bullies, they're stealing, they're vaping, they're drinking, all that sort of stuff. Does that make them bad children or bad young people? That's another question. Does it make them bad people? I can tell you now, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make them bad people. It's how their lives have been. And if you look beyond that, young person who's shoplifting, we use shoplifting as a prime example because that's the most common one, right? That young person shoplifting, he could be pressured into it, or the child could be brought up from a family of where the parents are prolific shoplifters, where the family are shoplifters, and that's all they know. That doesn't make that young person a bad person. That person just needs guidance. And that's what Spread Your Wings is going to do. You know, my project, Youth Empowerment Worldwide, it has 3 branches from it. And even my project, Let's Talk Men. We are going to tackle all these. Child smoking. They could just be doing that to try and fit in with the crowd because they don't have friends, because they feel isolated, or because they see their parents doing it. It could be the way they bring up. Same with drinking. But it's not just the children that are bad children, because there is no such thing as a bad child. Same as a big one of mine, nobody's born a racist. Put that out there. Nobody's born a racist. It's how society makes us, or how a certain person could make us, or whatever. But nobody's born a racist. Nobody's born thinking I'm going to be an alcoholic. Nobody's born thinking I'm going to be a drug user. Nobody's born thinking I'm going to have severe mental health or have multiple suicide attempts. No one's born thinking they're going to live the streets. Every single person, mental health, drugs, alcohol, homelessness, mental health, beyond what you see there and then, if you actually stepped and spoke to them, one, they'd be very happy because someone's acknowledged them, but two, it goes beyond what you're seeing. We as a society are so quick to judge people, so quick to judge because we're going by what we see in front of us. You look out the window and you see a guy, kids kicking stones or throwing stones, or committing crime or stealing, and you think, oh God, that youth, that child, God, it needs to be locked up. And actually, speak to that young person, or even the adult, and say, "Hi, I'm so and so. Are you okay? Um, is there anything I can do to help you?" And just little things like that help. You know, little things like that help. And you get chatting to them, and everybody's got a story. The story goes far, far beyond. And what I'm pleading with you guys that have that stigma, that uses that stigma against everybody, stop, pause, and think how you would feel if you was in that situation. Pause, stop, and think, how will you get beyond that? How can you help break the stigma? Because I guarantee all these people would talk to you, and then you'd realize that's not really them. That's not who they are. That's not who they want to be. People do things to hide the pain, from drinking, self-harm, to drugs. They do it to hide the pain because in that moment, you don't feel anything. You don't care. And as we're about to finish, I just want to put it out there. Okay, there's been a lot. If any of you have been affected by anything I've spoken about, please message me. Okay. But you guys that are the stigmas, that are the bullies, the keyboard trolls, the keyboard warriors, the judgmental people, just because you see a guy drunk on the street, you need to stop and look in that mirror and have a look at yourself and say, that could be me. Because within a second, it could change. And if you change, you can help break the stigma and encourage men and women and young people, regardless of their race, religion, sexuality, their background, their ethnicity. If we all do that, we will be in a better place to support people with mental health. Because every one of these things I've talked about with the drugs, the alcohol, the homelessness, it all has a form of mental health with it. So until 2 weeks' time, I hope to have some amazing feedback from you guys, questions, answers, stories, a lot. I'd really, really love. And if you have enjoyed it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to all my social media platforms. And if you'd like to be a guest on my show, then please go to USA Global TV and Radio and look for Spread Your Wings and request to be on the show. It is free, but for a limited time only. I'm Ambassador Dr. Jamie Long. I hope you have an amazing day, afternoon, evening. And remember, I love you all, and together we can stop the stigma. So from me, I bid you a farewell, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Lots of love, be safe, and I pray that the Lord's look over you through every single day until we see each other again. Goodbye for now.